along.
That's not how it goes.
Puts his arm out.
Do it again.
Puts his arm out and waves his hand over his head. Not that one. That
over
one.
the line! Huh? I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a
Make you sweat. Was it Gary singing that earlier or Ness?
I have no idea. Anyway, it is a free hit to which Aaron Finch will face, and he goes deep in his crease and tries to launch this over the leg side. Gets a thick bottom edge and it rolls up to Shaheen Afridi at long on. They come through for a single. Yeah, the Pakistan bowling after that early menace from Mohammad Amir has been friendly.
Has indeed, yes.
I think you've been watching this from the green room, Arthur. What have you made of I guess the selections and also the tactics from Pakistan, such as they've been?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what Pakistan's plan has been going in here.
There's a lot of that going around. Hassan Ali up to the crease and bowls to David Warner, who just drops this into the leg side. They take the easy single.
Do you think plans go out the window sometimes? Teams get to the ground and see cloud and they think it'll be all right. It's bowling conditions. We'll just go and do our thing.
I think there is a little bit of that for sure. I think it's a ground with short boundaries. It's a very good batting track and a quick outfield. But I think both teams got seduced by the conditions, by the overhead conditions. Both teams dropping the specialist spinner, going in with 4 pace bowlers and sort of part-time spinners to make up the 10th.
It's quite a negative planning, though.
It is. It's very old school. This is back of a length from Hassan Ali, and Finch onto the back foot pushes this out to Fakhar Zaman on the deep point boundary. They come through for a single.
It would have been a sensible gamble in a test match.
Very true.
Perhaps I'm never a fan of going in without a spinner. Although I agree in a test match you can get away with 4 bowlers, but you can't in an ODI for obvious reasons.
I've just had a vision. Are we going to have an ODI when no wicket falls? Is that the plan? Negative planning and all that, but are we going to get 330 from Aussies, and Pakistan are going to make 331 win by 10 wickets.
As Hassan Ali in last ball of his 5th over the 22nd of the innings is full outside David Warner's off stump, and he drives this pleasantly, opens the face, guides it to the point boundary. He picks up 50. His third 50 of the tournament. This one actually at a useful speed.
50 years they've been married, they can't.
One deliveries after 22 overs. Australia 146 for no loss.
And that does mean the first part of the Betway Bet of the Day came in as well.
Yes, indeed. The Betway Bet of the Day at betway.com/GC Radio was David Warner to score of 50, Mohammad Amir over 2 wickets or more, and Australia to win at 5-1. So those of you who got on that are partially satisfied.
Plenty of tweets here. A lot of messages for Arthur Shire. Hello, Arthur, says Ravi. Are you experienced? Which is a very timely Jimi Hendrix reference. Mog says there'll be no baiting of any experiencer by me, and that's partly because Jay Grover says, hello Arthur Shire, just say a rude word now and get it over with.
We do have that change of bowling. The man who was at long leg and warming up may have struck with a wicket immediately. Aaron Finch drives high in there. Mohammad Hafiz is under that and watches it into his hands. Mohammad Amir is back into the attack with a wicket immediately. Well, there's the 1 wicket, so the parts of the bet keep coming in, and Australia are 146 for 1. And this man back into the attack immediately takes the wicket. Aaron Finch gone for 82 off 84 balls, 6 fours and 4 sixes in that time. It wasn't there to drive. Aaron Finch trying to go down the ground, hit high on the bat, and Mohammad Hafiz took a good catch as it spiraled up there in those leaden skies.
Merchant engineer here. Considering the Australian treatment of Hafiz, were England just really rubbish at playing off spin? I think the answer to that's yes.
Yeah, I think they were wildly overcautious against Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. You can't, on a pitch with short boundaries, on a notoriously batting-friendly wicket, you can't let Hafiz and Shoaib Malik go for 5 and over for 5 overs.
Evil Scooter says, hi Arthur Shire. Leah says, I have seen some pretty shitty professors. Just look at the St. Jordan Peterson. But tis.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Hafiz, I think, has had an okay tournament. Didn't have a terrible series against England before the tournament. And, sometimes having some old blood in the team really works wonders. Wahab's getting on a bit, isn't he? How old's Wahab?
Wahab must be 36 by now.
He's got a Shearer Island, have you noticed?
Yes, he does, yeah. A little bit of the widow's peak developing for Wahab, but still, Mohammad Hafiz was man of the match against England, and rightly so. With played very good with bat and ball, and that wicket brings again a man promoted to number 3. He won't be on strike as Mohammad Amir is into David Warner, who pushes this into the offside. Mohammad Hafiz seemed to rather stop as that ball rolled past him. He thought that deep cover was going to come in, then realised he wasn't, then realised he was again, and there is an easy single. Bringing Stephen Peter Devereux Smith onto strike.
Devereux. Fantastic. I want to see Wahab bowl at Smith. They've had some good battles in the past, one memorably, I think in a T20 actually, where Smith went so far outside his off stump and he was followed by Wahab, rather than aiming at the stumps.
Aiming at the entirely undefended stump, there was Steve Smith off the pitch.
Fantastic.
So far he was to the offside.
I'm not a big Smith hater. I one memorably batsman, but I'd just love to see him fail today. Every time I look round at Australia batting, he's always there.
Yes, you look up and suddenly he's on 20 off 20 balls and you don't know how he got there. He walks across outside off stump in typically Smithian fashion and nudges this in to the leg side. The man comes hurtling in from the long leg boundary. It is, long leg, deep mid wicket boundary. It is Wahab Riaz, and Smith is off the mark with a single.
They're back in the Australia side, but it would be quite nice if Smith and Warner didn't put on a huge amount of runs together.
Sarfaraz did come out and say that none of the Pakistani fans are going to give them any jip, no booing today, and it was good of Kohli to do what he did, I think.
Yeah, I think so. During the Australia-India game, as Mohammad Amir is in and beats David Warner in the inside edge. He didn't really get to bowl much to Warner in his first spell because Aaron Finch was taking most of the strike and was tied down and unable to get off strike, in fact. But that's a delicious delivery from Mohammad Amir, jagging in off the seam late and beating David Warner on the inside edge. There is no run. Virat Kohli told the India fans to stop booing Steve Smith, which I think was the correct thing to do. I think it's all a little bit tedious.
That wicket's made a real difference to Amir. He looks more up for it. He looks more involved. He's going to go for 4 now.
Oh, that's an absolutely delicious delivery and beats David Warner on the outside edge. Amir has got the ball on a string today. He's bowled absolutely beautifully. 1 for 13 in his 4.5 overs. And very unlucky not to have had a couple of wickets. He is a slightly unlucky bowler, Mohammad Amir. Has a lot of catches dropped, gets beats the outside edge when he should take the edge. And perhaps contributing to the fact that he'd only taken 5 wickets in 2 years before the start of this tournament.
Does he normally come back this early in the middle overs?
I think
I've seen him bowl 5 at the beginning and 5 at the end.
Yeah, Sarfaraz desperately needed the wicket, and indeed he got one. Last ball of the 23rd over is back of a length, a little bit more easy for David Warner to go onto the back foot and punch this past point. They take the single. Warner onto 52, Smith on 1. 23 overs gone. Australia 149 for 1.
Presumably he's going to use Shaheen as the closer rather than Amir.
Wahab bowls at the death a lot, but it remains to be seen exactly what Pakistan's death bowling plans are.
Kiwi Callie here. Hello, Arthur Shire. I'm looking forward to following in your footsteps for #England v India in a couple of weeks. Keep the good weather vibes coming.
Yeah, that's right. Kiwi Callie, who has been on not necessarily this set of furniture, but a set of Gorilla furniture, will be in for England versus India on June the 30th. And we cannot wait to have you in.
I can certainly recommend the experience if anyone else is thinking about it as well.
Haven't even had any of the beer on offer yet.
I haven't. I'm quite excited or disturbed by the beer on offer from yourself.
There's a story behind that.
Hassan in, and lovely shot by David Warner. Half volley, but pleasantly driven between the non-striker and the stumps down the ground for 4.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is
Yeah, we're plying Arthurshire with alcohol today. We've got Manny Cohen's Hairy Dog Brewery Pale Ale. We've got some fizz, and we've got some Real Fred Janaway homebrew.
That's right, and after this, Paul, I'll tell you the story.
Hassan in over the wicket to Warner. This is again a half volley, this time driven the other side of extra cover. Back-to-back fours for David Warner.
So I used to be a brewer before my wheat allergy, and now I'm just a home brewer. And I do one batch every year. And the latest batch was a honey beer, which had gold tops, or so I thought. And that one had a kind of silvery top. So I thought, is that honey beer? No, can't be the year before. Looked up. I brew with different mates each year. Looked up on the WhatsApp thread. It was red and green tops the year before, and yellow the year before that. So that's either a brand new honey beer or it's a beer that's 5 years old. And it's been steeping for 5 years.
What's the worst that could happen?
Schrodinger's honey beer. This, as Hassan goes around the wicket, is angled down the arse of David Warner. He tries to nudge it away fine, does not make contact, and Nigel Long, with the rather forbidding hat and sunglasses, signals the wide.
Wide. More on Twitter. TV umpire says this is not good captaining from Sarfraz. I think that was probably before the Amir wicket went down.
Well, we've heard that before.
Yeah. What makes you think Pakistan have a plan, says Leo?
This from Hassan Ali is into the hip of David Warner, and he turns it into the leg side, and they take the single. Yeah, Lindex Lear is very down on Sarfraz Ahmed's captaincy, and she's not the only one. Sarfraz can look a little bit bereft of ideas at times in the field. And then just starts
Pakistan
shouting.
never seem to have an average captain, though. They either have a genius or somebody who's not necessarily making great calls.
Or an out-and-out villain in the form of Salman Butt.
True.
Yeah, it's a hard act following Misbah for sure. But Australia 159 for 1 halfway through the 24th over. Steve Smith takes strike, collar up. Hassan up to the crease now and bowls to Steve Smith, who blocks into the offside, into the leg side rather. And Smith wants the single, but Warner sends him back quite rightly as Hassan Ali picked it up in his follow-through. There is no run.
Got a very entertaining picture posted here on Twitter of Che Pujara. It looks like he's in either a coffee or a car ad. Ravinair says, is that his latest 50?
It's all very stylish.
Yeah, he's
It's
definitely
about
had
the look, Shea Pujara.
He's definitely had a haircut there. He's trying to be David Ginola, isn't he? That coffee.
Ooh la la. Lovely shot by Steve Smith. It was fed the half volley again. Hassan Ali's bowled 3 of those and has been punished 3 times. That's the first boundary for Steve Smith.
the number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Hassan trying to bowl wide of Steve Smith's stumps, as a lot of teams will do early on, but that was a very friendly length, and Steve Smith put it away through covers. Actually, looking at that on the replay, it wasn't entirely a half volley, but Smith trusting the bounce and pace of this Taunton pitch, and he would be right to do so on present evidence. Last ball of the 24th over, Hassan Ali up to the crease and bowls, and Steve Smith leaves in over-dramatic fashion. Australia, after 24 overs, 163 for 1. Steve Smith was even more fidgety than normal.
I really wish there wasn't a World Cup for Steve Smith to play himself into form in England before the Ashes. That's bad planning.
More bad planning.
The parochialism and generational trauma of the England fan.
It might all go wrong for him at the Ashes. You never know. You could get it all out of the way in the World Cup.
It hasn't historically all gone wrong for him really at any point, if you don't count the over-the-top ban for organised cheating.
I think, yeah. I think that counts as things going a bit wrong. But what I'm saying is he might be due. Has there ever been a player with a faultless record? I suppose Bradman. Not allowed to say that.
Well, even he wasn't faultless.
That's true. 99.94.
George Headley was pretty close.
Amir continuing after taking the wicket of Aaron Finch, bowls back of a leg to David Warner, who blocks this into the leg side. There is no run. Shoaib Malik fields it wideish mid-on. It looks a completely different game when Mohammad Amir is bowling to when anyone else is bowling today. Well, hard bowled all right, but hasn't had anywhere near the threat.
He just has these streaks, doesn't he, Amir? He does, like you said, bowl without luck a lot. But when he's hot, he's really hot.
Oh, for sure, and he's been hot in England quite a few times. But yeah, as you say, 5 wickets in 14 games across a 2-year time span. In only even bad luck can only account for some of that. This is back of a length from Amir, and Warner goes on the back foot and blocks back to the bowler. There is no run.
14 games in 2 years, there can't be all that many consecutive.
I think that he was a reasonably ever-present member of the team. I mean, there was a bit of chopping and changing through the Asia Cup where Pakistan didn't know what their best attack was, but he was a fairly consistent member when he wasn't injured. This is back of a length and angling into David Warner, who's a little bit uncomfortable as he drops this into the leg side, but he does get off strike. He moves to 62.
Got a great fact about Mohammed Amir. For people who like pointless cricket facts, which we all do, let's be honest. I think I'm right in saying he's the only player to play 2 test matches running at Lord's. The famous test match where he was banned, and then 5 years later his next test match was back at Lord's.
That's impressive, yeah.
Was it back at Lord's against Australia?
No, it was against
England.
It was against England when he came back. The Australia series was before the Pakistan series.
So if there's any player,
in
other
2010,
player that's done the same, please let us know.
Smith, deep in his crease and walking across to the offside, punches this away, and despite the attentions of Asif Ali diving around from backward point, he does get the single out to the cover sweeper, bringing David Warner back onto strike.
Merchant Engineer just says that's a man showing off his new coffee mug. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good analysis of the Pujara advert. I think it's an advert, unless he's just really going hard on his Instagram account.
He does really like his coffee, Che Pujara.
He does,
He loves his
he?
arty shots of coffee. I think he may be auditioning for George Clooney's role as the Nespresso man. David Warner's got himself into a horrible position and an absolutely absurd LBW appeal from Sarfraz Ahmed and Mohammed Amir, as David Warner was bodily outside off stump trying to work a ball into the leg side. It hit the pad, but surely this is hit him a mile outside leg stump. And oh my lord, Sarfraz has reviewed.
So we must have missed something here.
I mean, this cannot be as bad a review as I think it is.
That was definitely out.
Was that definitely out?
No.
Unless David Warner has fallen considerably outside off stump after the impact, it looks as though that Mohammed Amir has just bought a regulation ball outside off stump, which has hit David Warner, and they've reviewed it. It's not a no ball. It's a lovely fluent action, as always, from Mohammed Amir. It's pitched on a length. Not only is it hit him outside the line, I think there's an inside edge.
He's playing a shot. So much so that there's an inside edge on it. Or is there?
Oh, there isn't quite an inside edge.
He's outside the line.
It's just missed the inside edge, but he's quite considerably outside the line.
And playing a shot. I don't understand why. That's the worst review we've seen this World Cup. Look at that.
That's extraordinary. It's hit him basically on 5th and a half, 6th stump.
Now there is a thing in the umpire's Bible that says if the bat's behind the pad, you can technically say, "Oh, you're not actually playing."
But
the
he
shot.
was trying to cover drive.
No
it.
one ever gives that at international level. Wouldn't ever. Exactly, he was trying to play a cover drive.
The thing with that, it wasn't even hitting the stumps.
Probably not. You're right. Actually, that had nothing going for it at all.
Do you know? I didn't even get that far in my thinking. It was probably missing a second set.
An extraordinarily poor review from Sarfraz and Mohammed Amir, and that's taken off from a length. A lovely delivery to follow up one of the worst reviews we've ever seen, and beats David Warner, and he grins at Mohammed Amir, who continues to bowl without luck, but bowls beautifully. He's gone for 1 for 16 off his 6 overs. Australia 165 for 1. So Pakistan retained a review from a very close LBW shout that they reviewed off of Wahab Riaz, but then blew it in spectacularly awful fashion.
Got some tweets here from Vladas. I think that's how you pronounce it. Happy if Smith is not faultless like Bradman. I've said Bradman again. Now, you guys never told me why that's such a bad swear word here. But Mick Black on swearing says, after careful observation, I've determined that the word $$K is very similar across many languages. That sounds like you've done a study on it, Mick. So does that mean it's exactly how I just spelt it in Esperanto, for example?
That sounds like a PhD thesis waiting to happen.
Please let us know more.
There is an extremely good book on that word.
It's the most versatile word in the
Go on,
English
say
language.
the word. Say it. Get it out the way. Take
I'll
Jay's
save
advice.
it for a later stint.
Good, all right. Save it for when you've just tried the beer. What the the flip is this? Stan Huggins says, why are you guys trying to defend Warner and Smith? I just don't understand. Well, I don't know. I'm just getting a bit bored of them being hammered for something that's happened a very long time ago.
Yeah, the ban was ludicrous and was a direct reaction to Australia's ludicrously overinflated sense of their own moral righteousness.
And Safraz did come out and say we're not going to boo them, and I think that's great. And I said I think Kohli did a good gesture, but it's a bit different for Pakistan, isn't it? Particularly with someone like Amir on the field.
We do have a change of bowling, and round the wicket, new bowler bowls to Steve Smith, who defends back to said bowler and gets an appreciative nod, or rather, then nods appreciatively, and the new bowler. Mullick, of course, and he bowls full on middle stump and is driven by Steve Smith up to Shaheen Shah Afridi at long on for a single. So Mohammad Hafiz has bowled 3 overs thus far, so they need to find 7 from Shoaib Malik if Hafiz isn't going to come back on. I suspect he will, but they need 10 from these two because
could be Fakhar Zaman.
Fakhar Zaman bowling his rather pedestrian slow left arm. As Shoaib Malik in over the wicket, around the wicket rather, to David Warner, who drives this pleasantly out to Imam ul Haq on the cover boundary. They come through for a single. Shoaib Malik with his very distinctive run-up where he's exaggeratedly side on and seems to be skidding through to the crease in his delivery stride.
It's like a run-up you have in the garden where there's something in the way.
Yeah, so he starts off fairly front on. He's continuing round the wicket to Steve Smith, then goes turn on, takes about 3 steps and then bowls, and then Steve Smith comes down the track and tries to launch this over the leg side and is beaten by it, but it thuds into his pad. Sarfraz Ahmed was his eyes were widening as he thought that might be a stumping, but a rather injudicious shot by Steve Smith.
Are we saying that Shoaib is jumping out from behind the umpire? Is that what we're suggesting?
Not quite.
He's his own mini version of Wasim Akram.
Not quite. It's very side on and very skiddy. Someone described it on this show as looking as though someone was pushing him up to the crease, as though he was a little bit reluctant. This is back of a length and worked by Steve Smith down to long leg for a single. Shoaib Malik is bowling from the river end. The other end is the old pavilion end, which at Taunton doesn't tell you very much because there are about 3 buildings called pavilions at Taunton. The men back are at deep point, long off, long on, and deep square. And so there's easy singles into the leg side everywhere, and this is a leg stump half volley, which David Warner clips up to the long on for a single. Just the 4 runs off Shoaib Malik's first over. After 26 overs, Australia 169 for 1.
John Appleby here on on Twitter, listening from a hotel on the Gold Coast at a conference and quietly hoping that Australia lose miserably. Smooty says, should you be providing beards for the visitors to Gorilla Cricket Towers so they feel like they're more part of the team? I'm thinking in the style of Monty Python's Life of Brian. I quite like that, and there are plenty of beards on show today with Shoaib and Professor Hafiz.
Professor Hafiz has also got the devilishly curled pointy moustache on display, like a Ravindra Jadeja or Shikhar Dhawan of times gone by.
Even more luxurious. He looks like a sort of late 19th century nobleman.
As Amir in beats David Warner again on the outside edge, again bounce and movement from a length, and again past the shoulder of the bat. Amir is bowling absolutely beautifully, but still without that edge. There is no run. Mohammad Hafiz looks a little bit like his pastime is tying women to railway tracks with that moustache.
Give him time. He looks slightly more Holy Grail than Life of Brian, Hafiz. He said, did you say 19th century noble?
I did. Well, if Russia ever need a new Tsar, I mean, he's got the facial hair for it.
Wow.
From Professor to Tsar is quite a promotion, as Amir in slip in place, and Warner plays this into the offside, fielded by Mohammad Hafiz, the Tsar Professor silent movie villain himself, and there is no run.
TV umpire here saying Pakistan dropped the wrong bowler. Hassan Ali should have been dropped, not Shadab. Interesting. I think Hassan Ali has still got a brilliant performance in him. I think he could still spring to life in this tournament.
Hassan Ali is a superb middle overs bowler. But I think the two of them between them have been hugely important for Pakistan, and I think the dropping of Shadab, I think, was perhaps hasty. This is back of a length from Mohammad Amir, and Warner ducks ducks under it and sways inside the line and lets it go through to Surfraz. There is no run. Armour getting a good carry from the old pavilion end.
A lot of these players, Pakistan players, are microcosms of the team as a whole, so can look very ordinary for a long time and then just do astonishing things.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, there's been a lot of, rather than the old mercurial type, there's had a lot of bowlers out of form coming into the tournament as Warner prods forward and squirts off the thick inside part of the bat. Warner takes the single into the leg side. They take two, in fact, because anyone in the offside, anyone at all? No. So because they forgot to back up as the throw came in from mid-wicket, and another run is leaked off Mohammad Amir's bowling that wasn't his fault.
It's probably Amir's last over, isn't it? Is he going to save
three for the
keep
death?
3 up the sleeve?
Yeah.
Although, like you said, Wahab does bowl at the death. Shaheen could be the one there as well. It might be that he thinks Amir's the best chance of making another breakthrough, and he keeps him going.
Maybe even one more, but I think you'd certainly want at least two of the last 10 bowled by Mohammad Amir. He's in up to the crease now and bowls back of a length, and Warner on the back foot, giving the impression that every ball is bouncing off a length. I don't think that did very much, but blocked back to the bowler off the splice. There is no run.
What's a good score for Australia here?
I think you've got to be looking north of 300 from here, probably 320 at least, 170 1 for 1 in the 27th over. Pakistan's batting lineup has been in decent form over the last few years. They have a powerful top three, Fakhar Zaman. Imam ul Haq is not a quick scorer, but is a very consistent scorer, and Babar Azam is just gorgeous to watch, and a very, very fine player. This is a length delivery outside off stump, which David Warner pushes into the offside. They want to, they will not get to, as it's well fielded by the man at cover, who I think is Asif Ali, who, remember, dropped Aaron Finch early on, a catch that should have been taken, but that's water under the bridge, and luckily not on the pitch, which is unusual for the last few days. After 27 overs, Australia 172 for 1.
Jay Grover's back here. Pujara's the new gold blend man. I can also see him on Buffy. And then Ravi says so, not boasting about his 50 shades of grey. Might leave that one there. Leah says, I would get behind Ernesto Pujara in Nespresso spots. He could have a no-name coffee and make faces like when he got that pickle juice in Australia. Pickle
juice?
The juice from a jar of pickles?
I did have a pickle shot once. It was a shot of... Why was I drinking that?
Shoaib Malik in a question we've all asked ourselves at various times. This is full and drifting into the legs of David Warner, who blocks back to the bowler. There is no run.
You're making me less confident about this beer.
No, there's no pickle juice anywhere near that beer. Definitely honey. Unless it's the one that's 7 years old, of course.
Aged, I think they call it. This is tossed up by Shoaib Malik, and Warner pushes into the offside. Smith wants the single and has to dive in rather theatrical fashion back in to the crease as the throw came in from backward point. I think it would have been in anyway, but Steve Smith just keeping himself and the crowd entertained. There is no run. Yet Australia are also seemingly struggling to score off Shoaib Malik, which is weird.
I don't know, he's come of age, hasn't he?
I mean, you would think so at 38, Shoaib Malik, but... a very canny bowler, but certainly not a threatening bowler, and that's not a threatening or canny delivery. That's a full toss, which is dived over the top of by Shadab Khan, who's on the field for someone or other not playing today. Warner puts it away to the cover boundary for 4. First loose delivery for a few overs, and Pakistan just perhaps letting the pressure ebb and relent on Australia somewhat, as much pressure as you can be in at 176 for 1. This is a little bit short and is cut by David Warner, but Imam fields out there on the covered boundary. Just the single taken. Warner on 72 off 75. Smith on strike now 8 off 9. Wonder if these two get going, if they'll send Glenn Maxwell in at the fall of the next wicket just to accelerate things.
Wouldn't be much point sending in Khawaja if it's into sort of 35, 40 overs.
I suspect you might be right. Shoaib Malik, as a spinner, has bowled a front foot no ball, and so will be immediately taken behind one of the pavilions and shot. This is outside leg stump and turned into the leg side, and Shoaib Malik has indeed done the inexcusable.
Over the line! Huh? I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a foul.
That's a massive no ball as well.
He only takes 4 steps, and he's got one of them wrong.
Safraz does not look happy about that, does he?
I'm sorry, that's just... spinners bowling front foot no balls should not be allowed. It's just not honest. You just cannot do that. As you say, 4 steps.
Right, is this going out the ground?
It is a free hit. It is David Warner on strike. Everyone's up in the offside at short third man, backward point, and extra cover and the short fine leg, but it doesn't matter where the fielders are because the ball's gone about 10 feet up in the air and is 10 feet, 50 feet up in the air, frankly. Slightly off the toe end, but Warner had set himself for that. Shoaib Malik fired it in short, and David Warner launched it over long on for 6. Inch more up than long, but Warner set himself for that. And these are shortish, straightish boundaries. It was dropped by a man in the posh seats. And he turns the next ball to short, fine leg. A bit of a hesitation as Warner and Smith run between the wickets, but they come back for 2 because, again, no one in the offside bothered to field that. Wahab Riaz threw the ball in from short, fine leg. Mid-off didn't back up. And a sloppy end to what had been a pretty decent over. After the first 2 balls were dot balls, we then had 14 coming off the next few balls of the over, including a free hit. After 28 overs, Australia 187 for 1.
Evil Scootus is here, in quotes, says, "This cannot be as bad a review as I think it is." That's a quote from Nakul, of course. Oh, Nakul, he says, "If anyone knows how to absolutely butcher reviews, it's Safraz." And Grace has replied to that incident saying, "I'm so proud of myself for calling that correctly when my eyesight is this shit." Didn't know that, Grace. Please don't take up umpiring. We need more scorers, though, in the game. Take up scoring. Although you do need to see for that as well, don't you?
As long as your short distance vision's all right, I think you can sort of maybe score with a spotter. We do have a change of bowling as Amir is indeed out of the attack, and Pakistan go with their 2 sort of slightly better than part-time spinners in tandem. This particular part-time spinner, the man with the pointy moustache, bowls back of a length and is worked by Steve Smith into the leg side for a single. We'll give him his jingle now.
Your attention, please, for Mohammed Hafiz, consolidator or aggressor.
He's in over the wicket. I keep saying that, round the wicket to David Warner, who backs away outside leg stump and cuts out to Fakhar Zaman on the deep point boundary. They come through for a single. Apologies for my verbal missteps, everybody, folks.
Talking of verbal missteps, Mick Black is back about swearing. Doesn't say he wrote a PhD or thesis on it. He said, "I censored myself because I used the word shit the other day and felt it wasn't well received, so I erred on the side of caution tonight." It's one of those ironic ones where you say the word you're trying to avoid.
This one slides into the pads of Steve Smith, who backs away a mile outside leg stump, trying to guide it out to the cover boundary, but only finds Shoaib Malik at cover. There is no run. Hafiz at the end of his mark, bowling over the wicket to Steve Smith, who comes down the track and is beaten by this one, skews off the outside part of the bat. Surely this is going to be caught. It is. Asif Ali takes the catch, and Mohammed Hafiz has the wicket. He twirls the moustache in devilish celebration, and Stephen Peter Devereux Smith is gone for 10. Tossed up, it didn't really turn. Smith not to the pitch of the ball, trying to work the ball out into the offside. It was actually done by the fact it didn't turn and skewed off the outside edge. And another decent catch in the infield. So Mohammed Hafiz took one off Mohammed Amir. Now he's had the favour returned by Asif Ali. Steve Smith gone for 10 off 13. Australia 189 for 2.
And will it be Maxwell?
I think it should be Maxwell. Similar situation to what India was in against Australia on Sunday, and they promoted Pandya. I think they've just got to get the big guns in now, the big show in.
I agree. I don't think there's much need for Usman Khawaja or Sean Marsh's brand of pleasant accumulation, which is useful if you've lost early wickets, but at this stage you're in such dominant position. I think that promoting Maxwell, maybe Carey, if you want to go really sort of cameo, but I would go for the big show.
Been impressed with Carey, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen him demonstrate the power that he's reputed to have. But he batted very well against India the other night. Never looked as though he was going to give up. And yes, the change of the order that we were expecting has indeed happened.
If I had $1 million, I'd buy you a Glenn Maxwell. Then we are no longer friends.
Glenn Maxwell's forearms are bigger than my legs, I'm sure.
They are very meaty. They're also very hairy, which has been commented on a few times. Glenn Maxwell, who looked as though he might be able to get Australia in with a sniff of chasing down India's 352 the other day, but was left with too much to do. But now this is prime Maxwell territory. 189 for 2 with still 20 and a bit overs to go.
Vladis here on Twitter says, plaudits to you guys. The booing is overrated. The quality of the cricket in this World Cup is much more interesting. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the quality of the cricket when we've been able to get on the field, which I think that has also been overplayed. It hasn't rained that much. Hafiz into Warner as they crossed, and Warner punches this into the offside. There is no run. Now punches Hafiz past the dive of the man at cover, a full-length dive, so showing the commitment, but never was going to get near the ball. Warner steals the strike. He's on 82 off 80. Maxwell not yet to face. Australia, after 29 overs, 190 for 2.
Roger Melly here saying, Hafiz looks rather like the Viz character Victorian Dad. Pirate Badshah's here. Is it my imagination, or is William Porterfield batting at Taunton today? At least according to the scoreboard in the background. Behind
really?
Yourselves. Oh, there it is. It says it up there.
Oh, yeah.
That one was for our people watching on our Facebook feed. Mayank is here saying, morning, guys. Can't listen as I'm in the Faroe Islands till Friday.
Ooh,
my roaming...
Mayank, you really do get around. He's a real globetrotter, our friend Mayank.
Yeah, he says his roaming isn't strong enough to stream. Hope the game is getting competitive. The Indian in me wants Australia to win this one, but the anti-Aussie in me wants Pakistan to kick their ass. There'll be a tie then, won't it, Mayank?
All neutrals are Pakistan fans today, surely.
I'm definitely a Pakistan fan today.
And I'm supporting cricket.
I told you Smith was due a failure, and I willed it to happen.
Shoaib Malik continuing bowls outside off stump, and Warner pushes into the offside. A bit of a misfield from the man at point, but they don't take the single. This is not a bad time for Australia to whip through a few overs of their... for Pakistan to whip through a few overs of their combined fifth bowler just after a wicket has fallen. It'll be very interesting to see how Maxwell plays this. This is much faster from Shoaib Malik and does bite and turn a little bit. Warner in behind it slowly and blocks into the onside rather. There is no. We'll have a change at the end of the over, and I'll go and put my false teeth in and actually be able to talk properly.
I'm going to go and have a pickle juice.
Shoaib Malik in slides this into David Warner, who punches off the back foot. Babar Azam fields at backward point, and there is no run.
I'm going to sample the beer, so this might be my last stint.
No, don't say that, Arthur Shire. You'll be back.
You'll be back.
Although, did we make you sign that form that says you might not be back after drinking the beer?
This again turns a little bit from Shoaib Malik as Warner pushes forward and blocks into the offside. It's actually Mohammad Amir that Shadab Khan is on for, because Amir's taking a drink and getting a little bit of medical attention. We've seen him go off a couple of times today, actually. He does have to be very carefully managed by Pakistan, but he's well worth managing. Shoaib Malik in, tosses this up, and Warner comes down the track and almost meets it on the full. Shoaib Malik is a very good fielder, despite a bit of iffy fielding earlier, and does well off his own bowling to dive and stop this as it rolls into the offside. There is no run. Mickey Arthur is almost smiling on the Pakistan balcony. Crucial word, almost. As Malik in bowling the last ball of his third over, the 30th of the innings, is fired in flat, and Warner punches into the offside, and he takes the single. Maxwell still won't be on strike as Warner is on 83 off 86. Australia 191 for 2 after 30, and after a word from our sponsors, Gary Naylor et others will come in.
Bet your way with Gorilla Cricket. We partnered with Betway to bring you daily World Cup special offers, available only to Gorilla Cricket listeners. Sign up at betway.com/GC Radio. That's betway.com/GC Radio. And help keep the bear up to his neck in beers.
You get so terribly unruly without it. They really don't.
Here's Mohammed Hafiz, and this is just pushed to the vacant mid-on area, and they're through for a single.
No, I didn't think so.
That's Arthur Sher, our guest for the day. We'll be back later on with some words of wisdom. My last words of wisdom that I offered on the mic was that this was a 280 pitch. As it stands, Australia are 192 for 2 after 30 overs and 1 ball. So what do I know? As Maxwell rocks back and gets off the mark with a punch to mid-on, where Wahab Riaz does the fielding. I still think there's a collapse in this Australian side. I can see 5 for 30 at any moment.
Well, I think everyone's got a collapse in them somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah, I think on this pitch, is that the Cheviots? This ball is punched down to the man at mid-on. They're just conceding the single in the boring middle overs.
The Quantox around
the
Somerset, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
I know it sounds like your buttock muscle.
Yeah, and what's the river there in Taunton? Is it the
Tone.
Exe?
It's the Tone.
It's the Tone.
It's the River Tone.
Tone.
That's the one river I'll always remember.
Well, as you can see, I don't know Taunton at all well. Mohammed Hafiz, though, knows this pitch well, and he's in and gets no spin at all as Maxwell rocks back and again milks the easiest of singles to the man sweeping on the mid-wicket boundary. We'll come to your tweets in a moment. It's Nestle Boy on tweets.
Hello.
Yes, he's prowling in the deep as Wahab Riaz, no doubt reflecting on the fact that he had Aaron Finch dropped at first slip by Ali, I think. This ball is punched and it's fielded by said Asif Ali at extra cover, and there is no run. That cost Pakistan quite a lot of runs. Their fielding, as I suspected, having seen them in the ODI series, has cost them a bit so far in this World Cup. Round the wicket is Hafiz, and he fails to field the ball, does Asif Ali, but there's a man sweeping behind him, and they're through for a single. A tidy over from Mohammed Hafiz. He now has 1 for 40 from his 5 overs, just 5 singles from it. Maxwell has 2, Warner has 86, Australia 196 for 2, and Nestle Boy has your tweets.
Mick Black says, do you get paid to do PhDs? If so, fuck yeah, I'm shitting in for fuck's sake. Nissan Bajaj says, hello folks, en route to Nottingham. Weather forecast doesn't look good. This country sometimes really is a gut punch. Al Hotch tells us that we need to change the title of the YouTube video. Evil Scooters is thanking Real Fred for his soothsaying brilliance. Chad Hafili, comment of the day, I'm going to have a pickle juice.
Round the wicket comes Shoaib Malik, the 2 old stagers in tandem for Pakistan, and Warner has a big yahoo at that but misses, goes through to the keeper.
Rennie Keeter's having a problem. Says watching the IPL may lead to reality loss. I keep expecting these to go for 10 and over and reach 400, double the score after 30 and all that.
Shoaib Malik is in again, and it's very full, and Warner digs it out, gets it to the man sweeping a little ostentatiously, who is Shaheen, who's a really shocking fielder. I know he's a tall guy, but he really is terrible. But he managed to stop that ball, but not the 2, so Warner goes to 88.
Jay Grover's with us. I've had about 5 collapses in 41 years. Also, is Travis Head verboten in ODIs?
Ooh, good point about Travis Head. Yeah, if he can't get in this side. Who's the
They did
Chris
try
Lynn.
him at the top of the order,
Chris
didn't they?
Lynn's another one, can't get in the side. It seemed a bit surprising. As Warner rocks back and he punches this to the man sweeping on the cover boundary. I mean, this is old school cricket here, and it may have won Australia 5 World Cups, but the game is played rather differently. And Pakistan will be quite happy to go at 5 and over or so. Australia 199 for 2, and they're not trying to hit boundaries. Why not?
Or maybe they can't.
Well, maybe. Maxwell might be playing himself in, to be fair. Round the wicket again comes Shoaib Malik, and Maxwell goes back to cut. But again, it's slightly unconvincing. He gets it down to the man backward of point, and they are through for 2. As yet, no aggression from Maxwell. He has 4 from 3. But it's Warner with 89 from 93, which it does feel like a kind of decade ago scoring.
Well, this was a
rate.
criticism against India, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That they were a little bit slow, but they're running up, getting close to 6.5.
Yeah, the 200 is up, 201 for 2, and Maxwell takes the top hand off the bat as the man sprawls at extra cover but fails to field it. Dear me, Pakistan are leaking runs in the field. Hassan Ali tidies up from mid-off, and they're through for a single, 202 for 2.
I have noticed David Warner has been taking his hand off the bat a lot, particularly when he's on the drive like that. I don't know if it's something to do with that elbow that he's been suffering with a bit.
Heavily strapped, and it's Warner, who just blocks this ball back to Shoaib Malik. I mean, maybe that is restricting him a little bit. It's the end of the over, but Pakistan will be quite pleased to go at 5 from Hafiz and now 6 from Shoaib, because Australia are 202 for 2, 32 gone.
Well, run rate's 6.5, but yeah, I know what you mean. It does feel a bit. They seem a bit stuck, for want of a better phrase.
The best sides do have the power hitters come in here, and if you've got 3 of them, you only need one of them to come off and hit 6 or 7 sixes, and it changes the atmosphere. The bowlers, you can see the shoulders slump a little bit. The fielders are all sort of slightly on their heels, as this is an attempted 6 from Maxwell, and it lands a yard inside the square leg boundary. It was a long hop from Mohammad Hafiz.
Well done, Tony.
I mean, that gets hoiked in any form of the game, really.
Yeah, he dragged it down and had bags of time, didn't he, Maxwell, just to fetch that away.
He comes down the track, does Maxwell. He doesn't get all of it, but it goes out to the man of 2 or 3 bouncers, who is Wahab Riaz, the tallest, or one of the taller men at long on. It's a smart move, but just the one from Maxwell. So there's some intent there. I think Mohammad Hafiz turned away there in disappointment, because I think he beat him in the flight a little there. Anyway, he's round the wicket to the left-handed Warner, and Warner makes to come down the track, but the ball was too full. So the Professor, having been carted a bit in his first over by Aaron Finch, has bowled quite well since then.
Yeah, Mick Black has been looking for an excuse to extend his English literature studies at uni. Study for the big bucks, he says.
As Warner just punches it down the ground, goes to 90, but from 96, does he... I mean, is he incapacitated? Does he have a second gear here, Warner? He certainly seems to be.
Well, it's close to a runner ball. They still have, 18 overs still to face. They're only 2 wickets down.
And it's another long hop from Mohammad Hafiz.
There you go.
And he rocks back in the crease, does Maxwell. Again, doesn't time it particularly well. There's nobody at cow corner, though. It bounces 5 yards inside the boundary for one of these.
Now my innings going, great guns, I hit the ball. 4 runs, I hit the ball, and it went for 4 runs.
Yeah, Maxwell certainly being the more aggressive of the 2. He has 14 now off 7, although he hasn't really timed one yet, has he?
To me, Hafiz just looks like a villain from an old black and white film. He just needs a sort of black top hat, doesn't he?
And he punches this down the ground. He did time that one, did Maxwell, and he just lifted it. It was no more than a punch, but for once the timing was there, all the way to the long off boundary for 1 lead.
Now, on this point, Merchant Engineer says, I remember one of y'all moaning like this when Hardick came in, but then he went ballistic and played a very handy knock. Yeah, it can happen, and maybe Maxwell's going to do it now.
Well, Maxwell is the man to do it. He's been sent in there to accelerate the rate. He is. Yeah, they don't have many power hitters in this Australian lineup, with Stoinis out injured. I mean, Alex Carey has batted very well in this World Cup, but he's not a power hitter.
I
mean, you might say that the power hitter is Mitchell Starc, and it'd be interesting to see if these 2 last another 10 overs, do you send Mitchell Starc out there with a view to him getting 30 off 12 balls?
Well, what have we had? We've had 33, so if they were to go about 8 and over, they'd be around 340, 350, which is where Score Predictor was. Certainly where I was in our last discussion on the subject, Gary.
Yeah, and you're a lot closer than where I was, because I was at 280. I still think this pitch has got some caprice in it, but...
Caprice?
Yeah. Or any other sort of 1980s... pop stars.
Caprice was at the opening of the last World Cup in 1999, of course.
It's also a restaurant, isn't it? Caprice.
Didn't Tony Adams go out with Caprice?
I think he did.
He did, didn't he?
It's the kind of thing you think must have been a nightmare. It can't possibly have happened, but it did. Tony Adams.
Short Third Man's got a question. Why is the phrase "didn't get all of it" used to describe a mistimed shot? Because if you get all of it, you time it right, I suppose.
I suppose so. It's. I mean, not that I ever batted too much, but my feeling is that you don't feel like you've had the whole ball in that.
Yeah.
You feel like you've only hit half half the capacity of the ball.
The effort that went into the shot isn't rewarded by what the ball ultimately does. I think is the best way of thinking about it.
Better than mine.
It's a bit like for those golfers out there, a slap. When you slap a golf ball rather than stroke it. Yeah. When you stroke it and you don't feel it, it just goes. If you slap it, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, timing's a curious thing because it's like an elephant. It's hard to describe, but once you've seen one, you don't forget it. I maintain this. I only ever timed one shot in my entire cricket career.
Is that all?
Only one, and it was to win a schools match, and I was coming in about number 7 because I had played sort of men's cricket for some time by that stage. So I was been 18, I suppose, or just turned 18, and we needed 6 to win, and so I hit either the first or second ball I faced. I swept it up over the boundary, and it went a good way back on the playing field, and I did not feel the ball at all on the bat.
Really won't.
I might as well not have felt it, and I looked up and the ball was still going up, and I was thinking, this is a bit strange, and then walked off, having won, like a walk-off home run it was for me.
Vicious asks, when did Smudge get called a pig?
Oh, it's many, many years ago, probably in his first appearance, which I was at Lord's in 2010, where I think he made his debut when he was a leg-spinning number 8, if you recall, in the test match where I think Shahid Afridi made 27 off about 8 balls and then resigned as Australian captain.
Tony, can you stop looking at Jay Grover?
And if you're thinking, how come Australia were playing Pakistan in 2010 at Lord's, it was because it was the Friendship Series, I think. First slip would have swallowed that, but there is no first slip. And so Shaheen has been edged by David Warner to third man for one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And we'll raise the spectre of the great Richie Benno, because the score is, Sean?
2-2-2 for 2. In the second power play.
Is this a new spell for Shaheen Afridi as well?
It is.
I thought it was.
It's always time for Shaheen Afridi. No, not that other guy, that's Shaheen. It's always time for Shaheen Afridi.
Very 80s. And left arm quick as Shaheen Afridi, and Warner does seem to have been energised.
Oh, I turned it up again. What happened there?
By the drinks break. Perhaps he had a little bit of Red Bull or something like that, because played an aggressive stroke to that, but he only got it to third man. He goes to 95 from 98. Maxwell has 20 from 8 and is in boundary hitting mode.
Although Mick Black says, I've told you a bazillion times, not exaggerating Maxwell's abilities as a Superman or superhuman. But and Jay Grover has a book for you, Gary.
Oh, yes.
Because you recommended the Borribles book.
Yes, I did the Borribles. Excellent series of books.
I can never say this guy's name. Abramovich Rivers of London series.
This is very full, and Maxwell goes back and drives, but without timing goes to the man at mid-on. I'll just have a look at that on the text. Aranovich's
that's it.
Rivers of London. I take it's not David Aranovich. It must be another one. But thank you very much for that, Jay Grover. I shall look into that. There is an exhibition on the hidden rivers of London at one of the museums, not the Museum of London, one of the museums in the East End. The Fleet is there. That runs under Farringdon Road, I think.
Yeah, there's a distinct hint of Dick Dastardly about Hafiz.
Yes, there's a little bit of that.
It's that twiddle to his moustache.
Yes,
it's very expectant.
There's absolutely nothing of Penelope Pitstop in
No.
Glenn Maxwell.
Oh,
His bald
what
neck
a ball.
and crop. He stood there, he played right across the line, he tried to hit it to cow corner, and Shaheen Afridi went straight through him, knocked out the off stump, splattered the middle stump, gone. And Shaheen Afridi is Afridi, isn't it? Shaheen is delighted with that dismissal. He didn't actually do that much. Maxwell just missed an enormous slog. And I think this is the problem with the Australian lineup, because they're going to send in Khawaja or Sean Marsh here. And if Warner is not hitting sixes, I can't see either of those two hitting sixes.
Well, Warner's got to change his right. He's what is he on 90 odd, isn't he? He's done his bit. He can go for it now, surely.
I'm not sure whether he's
or is he injured?
Fit enough to do so. I mean, he did hit the ball so hard that the net bowler got hit on the head, and as we understand it, is recovering. But clearly took a a blow from Warner in the nets a couple of days or so ago, but he's shown no sign of the. Do you remember? Did you see? Because I saw it live. His debut, I think, when he was pulled out of grade cricket to play. It was either an ODI or a T20 for Australia, and he just teed off and made 90 off 40 balls.
It is Sean Marsh.
Spelt wrongly.
This man.
I am Sean Marsh, and since I started singing, I tore another hamstring off the bone.
Well, his strike rate is 81.5, which is more than I thought it would be. Left-handed, of course, and it's very full, and he just deflects this down to third man. So full it was a full toss, and it's returned by, I think, Mohammad Amir down there.
Nitin Bajaj says, was KP involved with Caprice in many more ways than one? I have a feeling he might be right, actually. David's brother is Abramovich. I can't say it. We all have our crosses to bear, says Jay Grover.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Jay. Yes, Dave Aranovich was the... I think he was the secretary of the NUS, the National Union of Students, and I think he was also on University Challenge.
That's Snidey Whiplash, that is.
Fielded at short extra by Mohammad Hafiz.
He really swung that in, Shaheen, there. Have you noticed he's getting some real movement in the air now?
Yeah.
And he threw that in fuller and I think a little bit slower.
Yes, definitely bowling fuller is Shaheen.
That's a good sight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good sight. The Zing Bales went absolutely miles there, so it is possible to get them off the stumps.
Full and fast does tend to do it. Yeah.
See, well, hey, one of them just took off into orbit. So I've always wondered the physics of how the bail goes quite so high, how the force of a ball that's hitting it horizontally ends up shooting it sort of high in the air. But when projectiles hit objects, I guess the collision is somewhat unpredictable.
Isn't the law of physics that it'll immediately get the speed of the object that hit it?
Not exactly.
I rather made that up.
Elastic and inelastic collisions and so on. There's Mohammad Hafiz, very slow delivery, and Sean Marsh just tickles it round the corner. And they almost went for two, but I think it was Marsh there sending Warner back, and it was a good decision because they might not even have crossed on the missed field there, but they're through for a single. Well, this is a test here for this Australian lineup because most of the sides who are favourites for this World Cup have 6 hitters coming in at this stage, and Australia don't. As Mohammad Hafiz round the wicket, and Warner comes down, has to wait for the ball and can do no more than sort of bottom edge it, or sort of drive it, but it isn't really a drive. He almost yorked himself, and it's Fakhar Zaman who fields it. Again, Pakistan look content to concede singles at the moment. Marsh on strike, looks up, sees Mohammad Hafiz, and this is just pushed to the man at extra cover. To be fair to Sarfraz, he's got 3 men saving 1 on the offside there. At extra cover, point and short third man.
Be great if he was bowling in a sort of a cloak that he could sort of hold up under his nose. Hafiz.
Hafiz is in. This is short, and Sean Marsh rocks back, but again can only pick out the fielder sweeping on the offside, who I think is Wahab Riaz, who returns the ball.
That was more of a pirate, but there we go.
There were those Patrick Wayne films in the mid-70s where the villain often looked a bit like Mohammad Hafiz.
Yeah.
Usually had Caroline Munro.
Oh, don't.
Yes.
Stop it.
Well, a friend of mine was great friends with Caroline Munro.
Wasn't she from the Morgan's Rum?
Yes,
she was.
Lamb's Navy Rum. I beg your pardon.
This is short from Mohammad Hafiz, and just goes back to Warner, and it goes out to the man sweeping on the offside. And
that's not what I wanted.
A wicket is slowed the scoring rate here, and again, you have to say that Maxwell showed aggression, but other than that, I've been on the mic now for 5 overs. There hasn't been an aggressive stroke from either of the other 2 batsmen on whom I have commentated. As Marsh is in, and he just defends this ball as if to make my point to short extra. There is no run. Australia at 228 for 3 after 35. It's a healthy position, but one wonders... I mean, they're leaving some runs on the field, clearly, but they're also being donated runs by Pakistan's somewhat...
Yeah, they've been sloppy in the field.
Sloppy
here and
fielding.
there,
Wahab Riaz has got his hand up like he's got a bit of a knock. at the moment, so Sarfraz may be short of options. Sean?
Very deep third man says Maxwell is a flog. Pirate Badshaw, I think we need Dr. Brian Cox in later. I'm no physicist, but wouldn't the groove on the stump direct the bails upward after the transfer of kinetic energy from the ball?
Perhaps it would, I'm not really sure.
Well, Jimmy Neesham was the one who was saying you need to reduce the amount of groove in the stumps, and thinking it's more that than the weight of the bails that is the issue.
This ball is edged, and it's edged between keeper and slip by Warner. It's been a scrappy old innings, but he has got his 100. He does his jump in the air, not quite as exuberantly as he perhaps did a couple of years ago. And he salutes and is saluted in return by his compatriots
Could he look
in the
more,
dressing room.
Could he look more Australian?
No, he couldn't. He couldn't. It was a
what
poor
I mean?
stroke. And I mean, I know that slips tend to stand wide there, but he absolutely bisected Sarfraz keeping and whoever it is. I think it's Azar.
I think that was a chance. I think that
it would have been a sensational catch.
It would have been a good catch, but he got very close to it. Anyway, David Warner.
Yeah.
Well played.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
And is that...
Congratulations, sir. You are a centurion.
Is that the first 100 for Warner since his return?
It could well be.
Next ball is cut, or rather, one should say steered, to the man at third man. He's still quick between the stumps, Warner, and he's back for 2.
Now, Jay Grover is disappointed that Naylor doesn't have a forearm tattoo. Also, Tony's given me the side eye now, looking for a slap.
Whoa.
Andy and Brum says, why send Marsh out instead of another hitter, for fuck's sake? Well, have they got another hitter?
Well, Mitchell Stark has won, but I think Mitchell Stark should come in maybe 8 overs to go rather than 15 or 16.
Oh, I like that. 103 off 103.
And he's made 89 and 56 of a couple of scores he's racked up so far in this World Cup. It's just so the issue is not his ability to put runs on the board; it's the speed at which he scored them, really, isn't it?
It is. Australia 234 for 3 as Warner essays a cut there, and it wasn't really. Well, I suppose it was there for it, but he played over it and goes under the bat through to the keeper.
You always wonder when someone gets 100 and then does that. If they just waited till they got their 100, now he's going to put his foot to the floor a bit, which is not really in the best interest of the team.
No,
I may have that wrong. I don't know.
No,
we just sometimes get that feeling with some players.
That's Ricky Ponting there on the in the players' balcony, looking exactly like he did when he played. As this ball is just deflected to the man who is Baba Azam at short third man, and they run through for a single. When did Punter last play for Australia? It's got to be a while ago now. Are we getting to the 10 years?
I was going to say about 7 years ago. We can have a look.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing to think. I mean, Michael Clark's whole captaincy was after Punter gave up, isn't it? So
second highest run scorer in the World Cup thus far is David Warner.
Yeah.
252 runs.
After Shakib Al Hassan and Jason Roy. So you have to say this is a successful return for David Warner as Marsh just defends the ball to the man at mid-off. I know we keep saying this, but it just doesn't look right, does it, with these two at the crease? It looks like the kind of two batsmen that England would have had for years and years at the crease in the last 15 overs or so of an ODI. And we know that doesn't work. It didn't work for England and hasn't worked. But whether it will work for Australia now, well, you know, the score predictor is 3-5-6. That should be enough. And Marsh again can do nothing with it except get it back to Shaheen, who of course doesn't feel cleanly. He never does. It's the end of the over. 36 are gone. Australia 235 for 3.
Jay Grover says Warner could only look more Australian by being Brad Haddin.
Well, yeah. Just to slightly cheer up our South African friends.
That would have been a catch of all.
That would have been a great catch, diving to his right. Although Sarfraz's complete statuesque decision not to go for it at all was surprising, to be honest. But yeah, something to cheer up our South African friends. Remember, Australia's highest ever ODI score was 434 for 4, which was quite a score. And remember also, they managed to lose that game by 1 wicket, which I think was at Centurion, wasn't it? In
I think it was
2006. Am I right? But they managed to lose. They managed to lose by 1 wicket to
Herschel
South Africa, despite scoring 434.
I think Herschel Gibbs made 180.
We will have a change of bowling
30
as well.
overs or something ridiculous like that. The as yet unnamed bowler is in, and he's uppercut to the man at third man, who drops it.
Lord.
Oh, for heaven's sake! It's Asif Ali again. Oh dear, we're getting into Cameron Akmal territory here. So that's the second in from Wahab Riaz. I mean, that was just a steer down to third man. They do not come any easier. Okay, sighting the ball under cloudy skies, white ball may not be that easy, but it goes into the hands and out again. Maybe he's reflecting on the drop earlier on, and Wahab Riaz gives him the oldest of old-fashioned looks, and heavens above. Warner gets 2 for his troubles. He goes to 106. Wahab Riaz is in again. You feel for him, and this is just steered down to Azhar Ali, who no doubt gets an ironic cheer from the crowd as he fields the ball and returns it. Yes, the Pakistan supporters giving him sarcastic applause.
This is the bowler.
My mother sold a coat to Wahab Riaz. Then he came back for an anorak once on my status quo. She works in a charity shop. He only wanted a tank top.
He's in again, and this is beats the outside edge of Sean Marsh. I'm not sure what Marsh was trying to do with that ball, because even if he connected, it would have been caught at first slip, or maybe not, because I think it's Asif Ali back in there.
Just left it alone.
I love that jingle. Great reappropriation of Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, that's Prikey in Munich.
There's quite a lot of high scores on Crick Tracker. People saying 600. One person said 1,000.
600?
One person said 1,000. Ishar Sharma's Ishar. And yeah, it's quite. M. Asjad Chi says 610.
As Wahab's in again, and this ball is just pushed into the leg side, and they run a quick single. Wahab Riaz, fed up with the Pakistan fielding, has just.
Hendo's just brought in 3 cups. What do you think this is for?
We have to put one on ours and talk like this.
Defend. Yeah, I've been slightly put off by that, because they went through for a single.
Do you think, by the way, Nestle Boy, that the 600 and 610 is you do actually look like Stephen Smith when you do that? Do you think they're thinking about total runs in the match as opposed to for the innings?
I hope so.
Well, I would imagine so.
Wahab is in again, and this ball is punched from middle stump by Warner. 4 from the over so far, and a dropped catch. Wahab Riaz has none for 25 from 4.5 overs. He's bowled really, really well, and he deserves better. This might be for beer. If it is, I can't have any because I'm riding the motorbike, and I really don't want to
wait, I think you can pretend.
I know. Oh,
yeah, Hendo's brought in 3 empty cups, which are fabulous. I assume there might be something to go in them.
Champagne?
I would imagine it'll be...
Warner goes back and can
Manny's
do
beer.
Nothing with this, and it's just fielded at point. There is no run. Well, we did think that the Australian innings might get a bit stodgy, and it is getting stodgy.
Carey should come in for Khawaja, says TV umpire, if run rate is only 6.5. Mogg says fucking Warner. It's 3:50 past, says Radas. Oh my god, what have we got here?
Oh, it's
we're
shampoo.
Aftershare. Ah.
What a top man.
Jay Grover says, right, nipping to the shop. I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying listening to the cricket without a Colombian 4-year-old nephew trying to break the sound barrier during the bowling change. Thank you all very much.
Well, cheers to Arthur Show. This is
cheers Arthur Show. Thank you so much.
Fizzy White.
Oh, Mogg bought a T-shirt. Cop that. 10 team advocates. The Riaz jingle is and shall remain a heartbreaking work of staggering genius, says Jay Grover.
Shaheen is in, and this is full on leg stump, and Marsh can only dig it out into the leg side, where the shamed, I think it's fair to say, Asif Ali tidies up, and they're through for 2.
I wonder if Ian Pearce is listening. If you are, Ian, Arthur Shears bought just 1 bottle, but it was champagne.
How awesome would it be if Wahab went across and actually kissed an Aussie bat in this game instead of just blowing kisses, says Nitin Bajaj. That'd be weird. Evil Scooter says, to think there were folks who thought Warner shouldn't get back in the Aussie team because of Khawaja and Finch.
Shaheen is in, and this ball lifts off the pitch, and I really think that Patrick Cummins and Mitchell Stark are going to be an absolute handful on this.
But to get over 300, they only need 60, just under 60. 59 runs in 13 overs. I mean, that's more than achievable. I still feel 330, 340s on the cards. Still possibly 350 if they get going.
Who's going to hit the boundaries?
Well, they've lost Maxwell now, haven't they? So, but Marsh is well capable of it. Warner, of course, is still there,
I'm not
very
sure.
capable of it.
They need Chris Lynn and Travis Head. He rocks back, does Marsh, and again he can only get one down to third man. It was a decent shot with a cut, and it was Mohammed Amir tidying up down there.
Now we're quite intrigued.
242 for 3.
Well, we're quite intrigued, aren't we, Gary, as to when Mohammed Amir will come back on. He's got 3 overs left. Our bet of the day, remember, was Australia to win, Mohammed Amir to get 2 or more wickets, Warner to get 50. Well, Warner has his 50. Amir has one of his wickets. If he was to get another one, our bet of the day, which I think was at 5-1 before the start of play, could be on the cards.
Shaheen Afridi, this ball is defended by Warner, back to Shaheen Afridi, and there is no run. Now, with whom was that bet of the day?
It was with Betway, of course, who are our partners for this World Cup. And remember, if you go to betway.com/GC Radio, betway.com/GC Radio, you can register, you can deposit, you will get in your own currency a sizable amount of money for free bets.
Shaheen Afridi is in. Warner launches this. It's a big top edge. Who's underneath this? Who's underneath it?
It's taken.
Taken by Imam ul Haq. Warner's somewhat stop-start innings is over. He's gone for 107 from 111 deliveries. Imam ul Haq is the nephew, I think, of Inzamam ul Haq. But he looks much more like the nephew of Wasim Akram. He looks like a slightly shorter version of Wasim Akram.
Yeah, maybe
in the field.
Apart from the specs. I see what you mean.
Well, he does have the specs, of course, these days.
Wasim he does? Yeah. No, I can see what you mean.
Short third man says, the other day when Kohli asked the crowd to stop booing Smith and give him applause instead with a clapping gesture, they should have started a sarcastic slow clap. Ravi Nair's with us. In light of Pakistan's bowling travails, why not allow all fielders to wear gloves? It can be seen in the light of protective equipment and should allow for better catching in these days of inflated bats and strike rates.
You're not thinking like baseball, sort of giant mitts that they can just make sure that they don't drop them.
Mog says, I assume the cups are for your tears at Warner's tongue. And Jay Grover says, Ian One Beer Pierce would piss in that sample cup with his leftovers and wonder why you were all ungrateful.
Very good.
Who was that from?
Jay Grover.
Jay Grover, of course. Thank you, Jay.
These gloves now, kind of slightly rubbery quality to them, sticky quality to them. I think they'd be a good idea to have those in the field. I'll return to that point in a moment because we are going to jingle up the new bat.
Well, I would imagine he may not be facing. Is he facing? They would have crossed, won't they?
Yeah, they have crossed. I think you're right.
Anyway, here he is.
As this ball is pushed into the leg side by Sean Marsh. And I would suggest, if you're an Australian fan, the 2 batsmen that you do not want to have in with the score on 243 and 12 overs to go.
Marsh and Khawaja.
Marsh and Khawaja.
Mick Black says, if Pakistan can't take catches, who can? Who can?
Well, I was at the Christian Dior show on Monday, and I was looking at some of John Galliano's work there. He was head designer at Dior.
Particularly good outfielder, was he? Good at taking high catches?
Well, I was talking about the gloves, and with there's lots of gloves on show anyway, but with the gloves, they have those tight-fitting ones that are kind of rubbery or leather gloves may be useful. And one of his dresses there, it has the little sort of label as this ball is pushed down to third man and they're through for a single. Said it was made of leather, and then in brackets it had what kind of leather it was.
Oh, right.
Now, you will be a long time, I suggest, guessing what word was in bracket.
Okay.
In brackets,
so
for the kind of leather. Well, you can have a couple of goes if you want. Do you want a couple of goes each for the kind of leather?
Kangaroo.
Not kangaroo.
Walrus.
Not walrus.
Chicken.
Not chicken.
Possum.
Not possum. Wahab Riaz is in, and this is defended by that little possum, Usman Khawaja. And there is no run.
What have I done?
It was made from leather, and the leather came from python.
Ooh. python leather.
Python leather. They were slightly small bits that were overlaid on top of each other, a bit like a slate roof.
Leading
it
run
was
score
very
ODIs,
spectacular. Very spectacular.
It's almost just moronic having these two at the crease, says Andy and Brum.
And he shovel pulls this, does Usman Khwaja, but there's a man down at backward square who is Imam, who enjoyed the catch earlier on, and they're through for a single. The Australians 245 for 4. I don't know what their scoring rate has been in the 8.3 overs that I've been commentating, but I will be flabbergasted were it above 6.
Never have your flabber been more gasted.
Never has my flab been more begasted. You're absolutely right. And let's face it, I've got enough flab there to be begasted as this ball is defended and there is no run. Wahab Riaz bowling very well here. He has bowled well throughout the tournament. What a good decision it was to bring him back into the fold.
Carey and Coulter-Nile still to come, don't you? Both of whom are... Coulter-Nile, has made 96 in this tournament so far?
Yeah, it was a tremendous... 92 he got.
92,
tremendous innings, but I do think you should send in Mitchell Stark to give it some long handle next.
I've never seen you piss, Gary.
It does happen.
I know, but I just haven't.
This ball is clipped off the pads by Sean Marsh. Goes out to Imam, who tidies up at deep square leg.
We'll have to sort that out one night.
Us type 2 diabetes people, we do tend to have to go quite frequently.
What, get pissed quite frequently?
Oh, no. I thought you meant actually sort of visit the
no.
the facilities.
No, so I haven't seen you pissed.
Oh, I see.
Drunk.
Oh, well, you should have been a... Not Azhar Ali, Asif Ali, to drop these two if the ball goes in the air, because I think Pakistan are better off with these two at the crease rather than not at the crease. So, Pierre is going to Sweden. My partner's going to Sweden in June, and she's there June, July and August, comes back in September. So I said, can I have your gym membership?
Oh,
and
right.
she said, oh, no, I don't think so. They don't really allow that sort of thing at the gym. As Shaheen is in, and this is punched by Khwaja into the leg side, and they're through for a single. Anyway, she phoned me this morning and they said she's spoken to the manager there, and the manager says since she's about a 10-year or more member there, as I should know because I pay for it, they've said it's okay. They can transfer the membership for me while she's away in Sweden. So as of late June, I was a member for a year back in the about 10 years ago.
Go easy, Gary. Go easy.
I know. It's a swimming pool mainly. I'm going to be using as this ball is clipped in the air, but bounces way in front of Fakhar Zaman, who comes round from mid wicket. So come June, I'll be going down to Nuffield Health there in Collier's Wood, and I enjoy the swimming in the in the morning.
Yeah. You don't wear speedos, do you? Please say no.
God, sure. I did in my 20s, but then I had the right physique for said speedos.
You had the body of a bronzed Adonis.
The bronzed Adonis got him.
Some people call me Speedo, but my real name is Mr. Earl. Do you remember that song?
I don't. This ball is punched by Sean Marsh, and another terrible bit of fielding at mid-off, diving over the ball. Gary Sprake appears to be the fielding coach of the Pakistan team. It's Shoaib Malik again, who has had a bit of a mare in the field.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary.
3-man change coming up, boys. 3-man change.
Well, I tell you what, they need a 2-man change for Australia in the middle, and Pakistan's fielding. I don't know if they need an 11-man change, but this is the This is the worst fielding display I've seen for a very long time, even worse than England against Pakistan, as this ball is pushed into the offside and they enjoy a single.
We need Mohammed Amir to come on and get a wicket for our bet.
We do. So a more productive over this for Australia. There are 8 so far from it, 1 ball left in it. The Australians 255.
You didn't see Afghanistan the other day then, Gary?
No, I didn't. Were they poor
When
as
you
well?
say it's the worst you've seen for a while. That was that against Sri Lanka, Hendo? Who was that against? I noticed you're there. Yeah, it was Sri Lanka. Some shocking fielding in that game.
So Shaheen is in, left arm over. It's very full, but Khawaja can barely get it out of the circle, and it's fielded just inside the circle. They can be a lot closer. They can be saving one there. You see, he's on his heels against Khawaja, who's only faced 5 balls. That was his 6th ball. He got a single from it as Australia go to 256 for 4. I reckon we've seen at least 30 runs given away by Pakistan in the field. Some of it because the fielders are too deep. Some of it misfields. Anyway, are we going to play?
We are going to play a word from our sponsors and have a 3-man change.
Gorilla Cricket Bat of the Day. Only gorillas get enhanced odds at Betway.
Well, I can't hear anything at all. What happened to our jingle?
I don't
Was there
know.
a jingle played? I
Never
don't
mind.
know. There may have been silence. Anyway, the exciting news is that as the Australian innings reaches an important juncture, that Gorilla Cricket has reached an important juncture too, as Wahab Riaz bowls. It's just guided down to backward point. He's in quite close there, and there is no run. We have Arthur Shear, and we have him on the tweets for the first time, so do your best. Swear at him. Try and get him to swear. We've plied him with alcohol in the meantime, so hopefully he'll be he won't take it all too personally.
We'll be relaxing in the Gorilla Infinity Pool and
indeed
luxury surroundings here.
Absolutely, the spa is open now, so it's a
Open
wonderful
for
day
business.
to be at Gorilla Cricket. Here comes Wahab Riaz, bowls pulled by Khawaja, up and over mid-on. That will run all the way to the boundary for one of these.
Now my innings going, great guns, I hit the ball, 4 runs, I hit the ball and it went for 4 runs.
Well, that shot notwithstanding, Australia have contrived to get their 2 slowest batsmen in the middle at the crucial point with 10 overs left. And we were saying about the kind of sameness of their lineup. And I liked putting Maxwell up a bit higher, but there was always the danger he would get out in 10 balls, and now you're here.
It's a good 20, though. It was a good 20. Wahab in again, and that's beautifully played by Khawaja. Very, very fine indeed.
He's
really
proving us wrong.
Beautifully played. Just a little push down towards third man. It's gone for 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it up. 2, 3, 4. Up. 2, 3, 4. Keep it up. 2, 3, 4.
I mean, they haven't got hitters as such, but they have got some good players. Carey, I was very impressed with at the Oval. Got a very quick 50 in about 25 balls. It was in a losing cause, of course, but I quite like the look of him. It's 264 for 4. Wahab in again, and he tries to play that shot again. This time gets it squarer, so straight to the man at third man, and they come through for 1. We shall come to Arthur Shear at the end of this over. We're going to get him, put him under pressure. So get your tweets in now. Let's see how many you can get through in the over break.
But don't breathe and pause between words. Lots.
No, exactly. You're not allowed to breathe. For goodness sake! I should have put that in the description
Job
of the
description,
Gorilla listener experience.
Circular breathing.
Full ball. Just driven by Marsh this time. It's going to get away from the man at extra and mid-off. And that is the 3rd 4 of the boundary with 1 ball still to go. Third 4 of the over, not the 3rd 4 of the boundary, of course, because that makes no sense. But that was up at 90 odd miles an hour. It ended up being a full toss, and he timed it nicely. Maybe it was just a case of getting the bat there. Got it through
I think
the
so.
offside.
We've been dissing these batsmen, and now they're smashing it everywhere. But it's not great bowling, I don't think.
No, he goes for a cut on this occasion, way outside the off stump, but makes no contact. Through the keeper it goes. 41 overs gone, 269 for 4, and it's over to Arthur Shear.
I shall read some tweets.
Yay!
Short third man says 10 Papua New Guinea cricketers arrested for shoplifting in Japan. Did they perhaps misunderstand the coach's instruction to try and steal risky singles?
Hey, I wonder, were they all in the same shop or did they go to 10 separate shops?
We need to know. We need more details
yeah,
on this story.
I think we do.
It doesn't sound, 10 of you all at once in one shop doesn't sound like the best plan.
No, you're kind of likely to be seen, aren't you?
Unless they pass the item out in a human chain, of course. You never
I
know.
wonder if they're all in their team uniforms as well.
Yeah, it's harsh.
What were they stealing? A boat?
We don't know. We don't know. Where was that taking place anyway? That.
Well, it said Japan.
It was in Japan. Oh, so Japan went through as hosts, effectively. So we got one tweet. We'll get through another one after this ball. Hassan Ali back into the attack and off the hip of Khawaja. I don't think he got any bat on that, but it's gone very fine indeed. The runs are flowing, I tell you.
No, he did get some bat,
Get some bat on that,
says the umpire.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Another tweet between balls. Don't tweet between
not Fred
balls.
Titmus.
Hey!
Python leather played for Guyana in the 70s.
Why are we talking about Python leather?
I don't know.
Anyway, maybe it's something to do with your vegan shoes. And here comes Hassan Ali into Khawaja, who tries to poke this down to third man, but fails to make contact.
Probably not.
Run.
Snakes are animals.
Not corn snakes.
Corn snakes.
Corn snakes.
Beer snakes.
Oh, beer snakes, indeed. The Australian wickets seem to have come from people hitting the ball very high in the air quite a lot of the time.
Well, Andy and Brum did tweet us to say that they were 22 for 2 in the last 5 overs, but that's obviously changed since then.
Yes, that was a couple of overs ago, wasn't it? It's still very, very dark at Taunton as this is flicked away by Khawaja through square leg, nicely timed, all the way out to not Imad Wasim, unless Imad Wasim is on for somebody, because
there's always a possibility.
Yeah, it looked like Imad Wasim. Anyway, 1 run is scored. I'll do this thing now. I'll just look. It's like running between the
peripheral
wickets.
vision, you see.
Yes, I'll just look.
Ravi Nair then says, stop lying to feel superior. Major League Baseball guys take more spectacular catches, while, as we can see, cricketers frequently fail to.
Yeah, but haven't they got huge comedy gloves?
No, exactly. Marsh crunches this through the covers out to the edge, and they go through for a single. Imam Ul-Haq is the man doing the fielding.
There's a baseball player called Torrey Hunter who took catches that... unbelievable catches is all I would say, glove or no glove.
Are you another baseball fan?
A bit of a baseball fan.
Okay. There's quite a few, aren't there, around Guerrilla Cricket, I have to say.
City Sports with bats and balls, we're all about them.
I suppose, but I don't know.
I don't get it either, no.
Doesn't do it quite for me. Hassan in back of a length and well wide of the off stump. He'd done well to reach that. Surely that's going to be signalled as a wide. It is indeed.
Wide.
276 for 4.
Some of these seem to be parts of a conversation.
Oh, right, we'll ignore those.
I will skip over those.
Yes.
Armchair Cricket Podcast, their little summary. Usman Khawaja replaces David Warner. Cricket Australia back him to score quick runs. Means he may bat lower down the order, 5 or 6, but still retain his place in the team once Stoinis is fit again.
Well, he's coming down the wicket to this one. In the end, he only plays a defensive shot because it was pulled back in length slightly by Hassan Ali. It's fielded at extra cover. There is no run. Run rate up at about 6.6 at the moment.
Well, we're kind of suggesting that Australia would miss Stoinis, but in the previous game he got smashed all round and got 2-ball duck, so...
Yeah, he got a really good ball from Bhuvi Kumar.
Didn't he just play round a straight
ball?
ball?
I thought he got I thought it came back a long way. Against, if you're talking about the one against India. Hassan Ali in again, down the leg side, hit him on the, I think just under the buttock. And they're going to get a leg bye for that, down to Wahab Riaz.
Oh, mark cards now. Stoinis is going to do something ridiculous in the Ashes. And not only is he going to play, he's going to get like 150
that would
or
be
take 8 wickets
enough.
or something.
I'd be astonished if he plays in the Test series.
If he plays in the Test series, yes, I'd be quite surprised. That's the end of Hassan Ali's over. It went for 7-8, including the wide, plus a leg bye, 9 runs in all. 8 overs remaining, 277 for 4.
Leah.
Hello,
I'm
Leah.
against gloves for any kind of fielders. If only to put those annoying baseball fans in their place when one of the fat fucks they call top athletes manages to take a sitter, assisted by what basically amounts to the top of a lacrosse stick.
Oh, well, I think we know where she stands.
Paul.
Ah! It's the Grubster. He's all right, I just sent him a text. Did you get my text? I know it is. I'll tell you more when I come out again. Here comes Amir who bowls to Khawaja, and he hits that in the air, and he's caught at mid-off by Wahab Riaz. One left-arm paceman takes the wicket,
looking strong
takes the
now.
catch, and Australia lose a 5th wicket.
That's the wickets and the 50.
Because that's Mohammad Amir has now taken 2 wickets. David Warner has struck 50. And so if Australia win this game, we will win our 5-1 Betway bet of the day, as Knuckle was just about to tell us, but then I was telling it, so
he didn't need to.
This is for Usman Khawaja and him.
You silly little boy, what on earth were you playing at? Oh!
Well, he just tried to drive it, didn't really get his foot to the ball, so the ball went aerial, but not aerial enough to clear the man at mid-off, and he nearly made a mess of it. He caught it in a very strange way. His hands were positioned quite oddly, but catch it he did.
The way Pakistan have been fielding, they'll just be grateful that he caught it.
I suppose they will, yes indeed. More tweets?
Yes, I'm going to read this. I don't know the context, but I'm going to read it anyway. Mog. I was really hoping that glove story was going to feature flayed and flensed human skin.
Oh.
I don't even know what process flensing is.
I don't know what flensing
is. Oh,
yeah,
that's... I know what it is, but it is a bit gross.
So well, we'll find out in the green room.
It's sort of slicing the flesh off your bones with a special flenser. I mean, it's more a meat preparation thing, but then, what is meat? But, there's a very fine line between meat and butchery of humans.
Well, that's said by a vegan.
In my opinion.
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I really wish I could stop eating meat, and I probably could. I have done it where I've just eaten fish for about 6 months. But anyway,
I think what you were getting there was you just drunk like a fish for 6 months.
Anyway, probably right. New batsman.
This man.
Keep it going.
He's the next cab off the rank. And Alex Carey is his name. Wicket keeping is his stride. And he's not bad with the blade.
There you go. Short and sweet from Mog. In comes Amir. Bowls to Carey. It's a Yorker. He digs it out well. Up to mid-off the ball runs. And there is no run. 277 for 5.
Roger Melly says, I used to play rugby with a bloke from Tunbridge Wells named Charlie McKinley. When he got pissed, instead of slurring his speech, he sounded more and more like Prince Charles. It was hilarious.
I can't do it. We need someone who can do a Prince Charles impersonation now, ideally.
You so rarely hear him speak nowadays, which is a good thing.
I wonder what he was said to Trump when they started talking about the environment. I wonder whether Trump spoke back to his own plants. Outside the off stump, he tries a little cut.
That's his cabinet.
Through to the keeper it goes. There is no run.
The trouble with the whole Trump royal family thing is everyone's going, look at the special brooch the Queen is wearing to disrespect Trump. She could write Trump is a cunt on her head and he wouldn't fucking notice.
I still think the Piers Morgan interview with him was the most hilarious part of that trip, on the basis that he was so sycophantic.
I just couldn't even, as the kids say.
Amir in, bowls. Oh, he's looking to dab that down to third man, but I think just pulled the bat inside the line a bit at the last moment as it moved away from him, so getting a little bit of movement still at this stage. Maybe it's a bit of reverse, who knows?
I think the equally funny thing about that was Morgan was bragging about how this achieved 24% audience share at 10:30 in the morning, which is about 500,000 people actually doing their housework and looking after their babies with the TV on in the background.
Yeah. I mean, you never really watch breakfast TV properly, do you?
You'd hope not.
You'd hope not. He's in again, Amir, and Carey goes back. He's going to get his first run here as he pushes comfortably up to Long On, who has to run in about 15 or 20 yards to field. So that's the first run off this over. Of course, a wicket at the beginning of it as well. And the score has moved on to 278 for 5.
Australia just downgrading their expected score a little bit here. Like I said, it's not the end of the world. I think they'll still get enough, but they had a platform to get 370, 380. They're looking a bit more like 340 now.
Yeah, I would say 330, 340. They'd be certainly happy with 340, I think. In comes Amir, just the one slip for him, and a drive is aimed by Marsh, and he's beaten on the inside edge by this one. Through the keeper it goes, and there's no run.
Well, excellent figures for Amir. 2 for 20 off 8 overs.
Tremendous.
He's got the wickets, he's kept the runs down, and he was in such terrible form before the tournament.
Yeah, I think that was harsh when they left him out of the one-day side. I know he'd had a difficult time, but I mean, as someone said, he wasn't getting wickets, but his economy rate was still pretty good. And in ODI cricket, that's kind of what you need, isn't it? Any more tweets?
Yes, many. Mog says we only played the short Betway jingle. I suspect you probably wrote the longer Betway jingle then.
Yes, there is another. I didn't know we had a short one. Okay.
Apparently you have multiple versions. I have to read this one carefully. Ravi Nair addressed to me, in the hope that Manny's alcoholic products have rendered me suggestible. I'm feeling sleepy. Pakistan are going to win. You are feeling sleepy. Pakistan are going to win. You are feeling sleepy. The Keatons are going to lose. Nice try, Ravi. That was equal to it.
Well, I don't think you've had any of the actual Manny brew yet. There are other brews are available here today. This is pushed towards extra cover where Hafiz then throws the ball in, and they get the overthrow. They didn't take the original single, I don't think. But they have... No, they did. They got 2 runs from that, so they go to 280 for 5.
Sorry, that does say overstep. I think I need some glasses.
No, that's not the buzzers jingle. Actually, it was a fair enough throw at the non-striker's end, and he wasn't. If it had been a direct hit, it might have been interesting. Hassan Ali round the wicket now. Carey just drops this down in front of him, wants a single but won't get it as it rolls back to the bowler.
Kunal Talani says hello. Hello. Kunal Talani. Ravi Nair says flensing is a much underrated process and skill.
I'm sure it's skillful to do it well and get the cut of the meat and so on. But I came across that in the context of a book called Dark Matter, which is a very, very chilling story about a sort of ghost in the Arctic.
Ghost in the Arctic?
Yes.
So if it's not bad enough going to the Arctic,
yeah,
finding a ghost there, this is...
Because this ghost had been flensed.
Oh, right, this is defended back to Hassan Ali. How do you flens a ghost, though? Oh, you mean in his real life? Oh, before he became a ghost by being flensed.
Thought maybe this was the process of Manny's beers.
Maybe, we don't know.
Enough beers and you become flensed.
Actually, that's a very good point, actually. It might be like
I was completely flensed last night.
Yes, it's Hairy Dog Brewery is the brewery that Manny is involved with, and he's going to have a lager as well, and I think he's going to have a cricket-themed lager when it comes out. Hassan Ali, round the wicket. Bowls, driven, lovely shot from Carey, but straight up to mid-off. He's going to have to hurry as the throw came in. Had he given that up a little bit? I'm not sure. They're going to get another overthrow here as well.
No, I thought he was. I thought the opposite. I think he was comfortably home.
Okay. All right. Well, the score moves on to 281 for 5. Let's have another look at it. Here it is. Shoaib Malik, I think it is, fielding it. Yeah, he was home. He was home. Fair enough. No, it was Hafiz, wasn't it, with the incredible fuzzy beard and upturning moustache.
It's like, you can have an upturned moustache. He has upturned eyebrows as well.
I didn't know you could have an upturned moustache with a beard. That's what I'm so impressed by. Well played by Marsh. That did nibble a little bit, and he let it do its work and then nudged it down to third man and picked up a single.
Messages, things you expect to hear on Guerrilla Cricket, number 178. When I get drunk, I talk a lot. It is a radio station.
Well, that's if you're going to get drunk and talk a lot, you might as well be on a radio station, mightn't you? It's better than being sort of stuck on a bus. And
especially for everyone around you.
Everyone around you,
who doesn't have the option of
turning you off.
Something else.
Changing your dial. In comes Hassan to finish the over. He gives himself room, does Carey, and gets that through all the way along the ground. A lovely stroke to the right of mid-off. It's 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And the kangaroo is in great voice. Is that a kangaroo? Yes, it is a kangaroo. I was just going to see if it was some other sort of Australian creature. Marsupial, indeed. But it is definitely a kangaroo.
Mog with a dark suggestion of horrible plausibility. You just know they'll drop Maxwell for Mitch Marsh now.
Oh, no. Well, it could happen. Yes, it could happen. And I suppose Mitch Marsh is over here now. He'll be thinking of the Ashes.
Elbowing his way into this World Cup
indeed.
team.
And then staying for the whole summer. 44 overs bowled, 286 for 5. Yay, we have cricket today in Taunton. It's very grey, but the rain has stayed away so far. And Australia put into bat, 286 for 5. Amir starts a new over again. A slower cutting delivery, which Marsh waits for, and then brushes down to third man, and they take a single.
Ola Nick, yes, they're treating me very well. Aquamate, maybe if the Pakistan team gets some sniffer dogs to have an affection for sandpaper, they might catch a flying snitch.
Ooh. Could happen.
Slightly mixed metaphor there.
It is, yes. I was trying to work that one out. Amir, what figures he has? He's into his 9th over. He has 2 for 21. He's bowled 2 maidens today. He's in, bowls to Marsh. Marsh swings him away, looking down towards long leg. Shaheen does the fielding down there as it more or less goes straight to him. They take one more. 288 for 5. Play of the day. Has there been a play of the day today so far? would you say?
Can't really think of any amazing catches or bits of fielding. There've been a couple of big sixes.
There was a lovely six that was just punched right over the boundary by Maxwell,
Yes.
I think.
Yes, a straight one. It was lovely. It was effortless, wasn't it? Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's probably it so far, but there's plenty of time to go. Smashed by Marsh, high. I'm not sure it's got enough length on it. It's coming down, and it's going to be caught. It's going to be caught by Shoaib Malik at long on, and Australia have lost their 6th wicket. Just thinking that this might be showing what a good length Pakistan have bowled, because we've had, I think, 4 of the wickets have been big hits that have gone up rather than long.
Or possibly varying their pace a little bit, depending from ball to ball. Australia now have lost more wickets than they've been comfortable with. I know they only have 5.5 overs left, but you're at the point where, okay, Colton Nile can hit a long ball, and certainly did against Bangladesh. Afghanistan, no, West Indies. West Indies scored 90. They do all run into each other.
They do.
But, you haven't got frontline batsmen at the wicket. You're down to a wicket keeper and the bowlers. And, again, that might just cost them 5 or 10 runs.
Yeah, I mean, Carey has been an opener at times in his cricketing career.
And he's certainly been very successful in T20, so he's familiar with the death overs. But again, it's just knocking them down to 330, 340, which seems strange. 4 years ago, you'd have been clinking your glasses,
God, yes.
scoring 340 against a team like Pakistan. But
you've been clinking
our plastic cups
full of carver. Yeah, absolutely.
Now Pakistan will feel 335, 340. They're in the game.
It's Carey to face, and he waits for this one from Amir, chops it down to third man. Hassan Ali speeds round the boundary edge to get that back in. It's a bit too high for Sarfraz, but well backed up at mid wicket. They come through for 1.
Particularly as Australia have to find 10 overs from Maxwell plus.
Yes, that's going to put a bit of pressure on them unless they take
and
early
not a lot
wickets.
of variation outside of that. For bang it in seamers really.
Yeah, one left armour, which I suppose changes the angle. I mean, they've
Stark obviously left arm and pitches it up more as more of a swing bowler, but then you've got Colton Nile, Cummins, and the other one.
I was thinking that Colton Nile is a little bit of a weak link.
Kane Richardson.
Kane Richardson
yes.
today,
yeah.
I mean, there are other players that I would tend to have thought of before thinking of Kane Richardson. This is Colton Nile onto the front foot, strokes that out very pleasantly to deep cover, and they come through for 1.
Behrendorff is actually in the squad for a start.
Behrendorff is a bit better at putting the slower balls. Andrew Tye seems to be out of the picture.
Yeah, he does seem to be, and I'm curious about that because I quite rate him. He does have a lot of variations, doesn't he?
Jai Richardson,
who was injured.
He's injured, I'm afraid.
For Kane Richardson to come in. It was the law that one of them had to be called Richardson. So.
Yes. Well, the ICC president used to be called Richardson, so I suppose that's what it is.
It's the Richardson
Favourite,
ball.
yes, it's favouritism. No, actually, the son of David Richardson plays for Durham, doesn't he? Or is it Northants? Now it's a little bit turned round by that one, Carey, and it squeezes off an outside edge to backward point. They still hurry through for the single, so 5 runs off the over, all in singles, and a wicket as well.
3 wickets for Amir.
Great performance from him.
We only needed 2. It's still over 1.5.
Yes.
So we're happy with that.
But Australia do have to win it.
They do have to win it.
They do.
If any one of you betted on Betway special preferential odds gamble this morning, you will know that it was 2 wickets for Amir, 50 for Warner. I didn't see him. It might have been.
It looked a lot like him, and he had a media pass.
Australia to win. In that case, it probably was him. He's been covering the Pakistan games, so I'm almost certain.
I think it was. I think it was. He had dark glasses on, so I can't be completely sure.
It probably is, as I said. He's
He
been at a lot of the games. Hassan Ali in, bowls to Carey. It jabs him in the thigh as he tries to turn that into the leg side. There is no run.
It's so funny when he shows up in that advert and he has like one line.
In fact, no, but I've seen another version of that, and he gets another line a bit later.
Cut?
I think there is a director's cut. You're absolutely right, yes. Any more tweets?
Mike Black. When stealing occurs, is it not more important to ask why the stealing, not what was stolen? Hashtag philosophy.
Don't know, actually.
Are they just doing it because they were bored, or taking something that they couldn't get, that they're genuinely impoverished and they felt they needed?
I've got a TWBS tweet as well, which I'm quite excited by.
Okay, after this ball, Hassan Ali bowls, pulled by Carey, high, Has he got enough on that? I think he has. He's directed it really well. It plugs a little bit as it bounces, but it's got enough to dribble into the cow corner fence. It's 4 runs.
It's Nissan she. It's Nissan she.
Let's come to that tweet.
Those worrisome Bradman spinners, Pirate Badshah, TWBS. Hashtag TWBS. That's a real in-joke.
Good try, good try. Well, I think have you been asked to say a few rude words by various tweeters so far?
There's a few. I'm getting criticised for my volume by Ed Benson.
What, you're not loud enough? I mean, Ed
Apparently
likes everything
I'm
to
following the current guerrilla fashion of whispering.
Well, you sound loud enough to me sitting next to you.
Hassan, but says Ed though.
Yeah, says Ed. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? This is jabbed again into the thigh of Carey, who was a little bit annoyed that he couldn't turn that away. Now, we've talked about beautiful men with beautiful eyes in these various teams, and Booby Kumar, of course, is one of those who's recognised for having those, as is Joss Butler. But did you see Alex Carey being interviewed this morning? Piercing blue eyes. Piercing, I tell you.
Didn't notice.
Yep, I did.
That's the Tim Payne answer.
Yes, exactly. 295 for 6, halfway through the 46th over. Hassan Ali into Carey. He tries to swing this away. I think it came off the pad. It might bring him more than one. No, good piece of fielding down there by Wahab. And they have to call a quick halt to a second run. And that was very good work down there. 296 for 6.
Do you want a Hassan Ali stat from TV Umpire?
Absolutely.
In Hassan Ali's last 10 games for Pakistan, he hasn't taken more than 1 wicket per game.
What's his economy rate, though? What's his economy rate? I think that's as important, really. I mean, if you're only conceding, say, 3 or 4 runs and over,
yeah, well, he won't
despite
be.
not getting runs. I know he won't be, but if you are, here he is again. Right on over the wicket to Coulter Nile. Coulter Nile just steers that down to third man. Wahab Riaz has been kept very busy down there.
Well, I'm sure he enjoys it.
He does. He seems to relish, actually, when the chase is on. It brings out some adrenaline in him. And if he's not bowling, he sort of throws the ball in with as much vehemence, I would say. Anyway.
So I wonder if at the end of this over Arthur, you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you discovered guerrilla cricket and, if you're of the same ethos.
I think we should ask those questions. Have they been asked already? No? Or have they? We weren't listening in the last session. Driven to deep extra cover.
Given who you were on with, we're going to guess they probably weren't.
Tell us, what's your name and where are you from?
Well, my name's Arthur, and I'm from Northern Ireland, sort of.
Doesn't sound very Irish to me, but
no. Well, from Worcestershire via Northern Ireland via here.
And tell people what you do. Come on, admit to it.
I work for a bank.
It's a banker.
It's the least interesting thing. It has been said, and even before I started working for a bank.
That you're a banker, yes, absolute banker.
An absolute banker.
Yes,
accused of it often.
Yes, but you do something useful there, don't you? You stop fraud.
I try to.
You try to. Maybe you're rubbish. Maybe you're terrible at it.
Yeah, but if you want to commit fraud, go to Arthur Shear's bank.
298
we'll stop
for
you.
6. 298 for 6. Yeah, we'll try and find out how you found out about Gorilla as well, because that's always worth knowing, isn't it? You can see if our great marketing plan is working, which involves, occasionally tweeting out and occasionally telling people that we exist.
If your great marketing plan was Adam Collins and Jeff Lemon saying nice things about it on their Australia-Pakistan broadcast over the winter.
Oh,
thank you to them.
Indeed. Well, hopefully Jeff will come in during the Ashes. Carey tries to swing this away, gets a horrible thick inside edge, but the ball runs out to deep square leg for 1. 299 for 6. So we them to thank for you finding us.
And it was your talk sport for the Sri Lanka series. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that on air. And then, yes, what with Michael Vaughan's somewhat less than egalitarian tweets. He never went back.
He's not really woke, is he?
He's not. He should never be awoke, if you ask me. Now he aims a big drive at this one. I think he's got an edge to it. He has. He sort of swipes his bat across the pitch, does Nathan Coulter Nile, and the man who got 92 and 60 balls last week against the West Indies is gone for 2 from 3.
So get on your bike and take a hike right out of here. Your history, no good for me. Your history, nah.
How having seen his last 2 innings, it becomes even more of a mystery as to how he got 92 off 60 balls against the West Indies.
Well, they bowled a lot. Agar got 99 for
98.
Right, Australia.
Yes, and
well, they bowled a lot of short balls at him, as they had been all day, and he took them on.
Yeah, and they bowled a lot down the leg side as well. He picked a couple up off his legs, if I remember. And once he got to 40, he just seemed to transform into another batsman. Yeah, extraordinary stuff.
Not so good on 2 against a reverse swinging 90 mile an hour from Wahab Riaz, but 2 is
seemingly not. Any more tweets?
Yes, I heartily endorse this one from Leah. You have to give it to baseball. Randy Big Unit Johnson disemboweling a bird with a fastball is one of the most metal things to ever happen in sport.
He disemboweled.
It's incredible. Look it up on YouTube.
Oh, I don't know. I could.
In the innings break, it's sensational. It's remarkable. He hit a bird in flight.
And it exploded, basically.
Of course it did.
Oh, that's really sad. 2.99 for 7.
That's how you'd want to go, though.
That's how I hope to go.
Patrick Cummins has come to the wicket. He's got a jingle that goes like this.
Pacement pat, and his baggy green cap. Early in...
He jabs it down to backward point and suggests to Carey, who's advancing down the wicket from the non-striker's end, that it might not be wise to do so. So they don't get a run.
They've got now 21 balls and they're on 299.
340's looking a long way off now.
It is.
320, 325.
Good comeback from Pakistan. I think Mohammad Ali has bowled particularly well.
Well, he has. He really has. He's led the attack superbly today. And Cummins settles down, waits for Wahab. Wide of the off stump, and I think too fast for him, actually. It was through him, really, before he essayed the stroke completely. And that was 90 miles an hour from Wahab. So he still can crank it up there. He is an entertaining bowler to watch, isn't he? We were talking back about that
you
Shane
can't
Watson
deny that. He does give it everything and bowls fast. And
it looks like Julian Lescott.
Julian Lescott? Well, maybe the high forehead. I can see what you're talking about. This is a bouncer which nearly makes Patrick Cummins fall over. It's not signalled a wide. I thought for a moment it could have been.
Was it not? It's
No.
just saying 1 for the over?
Just 1 for the over, yeah. So a very good over so far. A wicket and just 1 run from the 5 balls delivered.
Well, again, you get a wicket off the second ball, you get a new batsman come in, and suddenly another over's gone by.
Yeah, you have. I think probably got away with that on the basis that
he's
Patrick
a very
Cummins
tall
is
fellow.
quite a tall bloke. Yeah.
It's something I can come on to in a second.
He's now waiting for Wahab to complete the over. He's in, and he flicks that nicely off his legs. It'll probably only bring him a single. He'll keep the strike as the ball is fired in on the bounce to Sarfraz. Now that is the end of the over. 300 up for Australia, 300 for 7 from 47 overs. Yes,
yeah,
Andy?
you're talking about height. The state of friendly cricket, it gets worse and worse. I wasn't playing in this game, but in my team games on Sunday, one of our batsmen got 130, and he was bowled off a no ball that was deemed to pass him above hip height.
Right.
Because it was quite a slow ball. The opposition sent us an email explaining how it couldn't be out because of various physics equations.
How it couldn't what?
Couldn't be out because by their calculations there couldn't have been enough difference in
think with that type of wicket, if you start well up front, take early wickets, it's going to be very difficult. But look, as we said, we've got to respect the opposition, got to bowl well.
Well played once again.
Thank you.
Set up for a cracker.